Hi guys, in today's video we're going to be painting the crow from start to finish. But first of all I want to say a huge thank you to the guys over at darkstarminis.co.uk who sent me the crow out for review. Also in this video I will be using a lot of the molten metal range that you can get from Darkstar Minis. So please go grab yourselves a nice hot drink guys and we'll get started. After building the crow, I prime it in black. Black's the best colour to use for metallics. Here I'm using molten metal graphite. This will be the first colour that we use, and I'm just adding some of the metal thinner colour. I mix it around, and then I'm using a number 2 Winsor & Newton brush, which is quite large to work on such a large scale miniature. I'll sped the footage up 2 times guys here, but you can see basically what I'm doing. I'm just going over all of the areas that I want to be graphite in colour. This will take 2 layers as I've thinned the paint down. It's much better to paint in 2 thin layers than in 1 thick layer and obscure any of the detail or risk leaving brush stroke marks behind. And here we can see what it looks like after 1 pass. It's pretty much a solid colour, but 1 more pass will make sure that it's nice and even. Here I'm coming in with a second layer of graphite over the crow. After letting the graphite dry from the second coat, it's time to come in with a wash. I'm going to be using Darkstar Inks Dark Umber. This is a really strong colour, so what I do is I water it down with just some regular tap water. And as you can see here, it's still quite a deep wash, which is absolutely fantastic. The dark umber is going to do 2 things. 1, it's going to make the miniature look nice and grubby, and 2, it's going to create shading in all the recesses. So I'm really liberal here and place it down in large quantities, and I'm not too worried if it pulls too much. Here I'm coming back in with a second wash of the dark umber. Now we're going to start doing some dry brushing from darker metallics all the way up to silver. Here I'm using gold silver. I make sure I remove most of the excess off on some kitchen roll, and then I dry brush all around the metallics. I'm not worried if it goes on any of the places that have been left black for different colours, as I'll be covered up anyway. So I dry brush all around, and then we'll come back in with a lighter metallic. Now we're going to be using bright steel. I make sure that this time that the dry brushing is really dry, and I'm actually being more careful in areas where that I dry brush. So in the areas where I think it would be lighter in colour, I concentrate the dry brushing more on those areas and leave behind the other silvers in the recesses. Now I'm going to be using Dark Stars Silver, and this is a very bright colour, guys, as you can see as I put it down on the palette. I'm very careful now just to make sure that where I'm dry brushing, I'm only hitting the extreme edges of the panels. If I was to hit it anywhere else, it starts spoiling the look that I've gone for, that grubby oily look to the armour. I also want to apologise, guys, that sometimes that the chrome might be out of focus or out of shot of the camera. It was really hard for me to actually adjust to painting such a large scale mini under the view of my camera. Hopefully next time I'll make better adjustments and be able to film the miniature better and not make it obscure or out of frame. Now we're going to start doing some bronze. So first of all, I'll start using some Dark Star Black and Bronze, and this is quite a dark bronze colour, as you can see on the palette there. Here you can see I've made a start with the bronze, painting the top of his helmet, his arm pads, his knee pads, some of the bolts on the side of his legs, and a little plate on his belly. I'm going to be washing all of the bronze with French sepia. After the French sepia had dried, I'm coming back in with a dry brush of bronze. Now we'll be dry brushing some copper. If you notice, I don't thin the paint stain that I'm dry brushing, as this would be counterproductive to what I want to do. Lastly, to finish off the bronze look, I come in with royal gold and I just hard edge highlight all around the bronze. Now I'm going to paint the haft of the sword. I'll start off by using copper, even though the end result's going to be gold. Here I'm base coating all of the haft in Dark Stars copper. Now I'm going to wash all the copper metallics with dark umber. The first highlight colour is going to be royal gold, and I'll dry brush this quite liberally over the copper and only leave the copper behind in the extreme recesses. Now I'm working my way up to lighter colours, and I'll be using classic gold first of all. Here I'm catching the extreme edges and the centre of the half poles. The last highlight of gold will be braid gold. And I'm just using a brush to place the braid gold on now, as I want the highlights to be in specific areas. Here I'm going to be adding silver to the extreme edges of all of the metal armour that I've done, just to make the armour panels pop a little bit more. The base is going to be painted in Games Workshop Celestial Grey. Dark umber is then washed all over the celestial grey. Then celestial grey is dry brushed onto the base. Vallejo Game Air Black is placed around the edge of the base and into the holes on the helmet. And here we have the Crow miniature all finished. I think the miniature looks absolutely fantastic. It's so whimsical and so full of character, and I love his great big sword as well. I also love the molten metal paint. As you can see, they have done a really great job at capturing a fairly realistic looking metallic finish. I'd like to say a huge thank you to Dark Star Miniatures who sent me out the Crow and the molten metal metallics for review. If you check the description box down below, you'll find a direct link to their web store and you can go and check them out for yourselves, guys. Lastly guys, I'd love it if you actually placed a comment in the comments field down below. Let me know what you think of the Crow miniature, let me know what you think of the molten metal paints, or just leave a general comment. I'd love to hear from you. So, thank you for watching this long video guys. Apologies for all this snoring that you've heard from my pug Nala, and I'll catch you in the next video.